It's a nice morning now, though. I mean, yesterday was all doom and gloom, heavy rain, but I was scuba diving, so I was in a wetsuit, getting wet anyway. Water was choppy, though. That made me quite nervous. I feel like you're not really listening to this, but to be honest, I don't mind, as long as I'm not ruining your morning. I haven't hung out with monkeys in a long time. Howler monkeys were my friends. Oh, sorry, don't want to be in your way. Whew. See you later, mate. I miss monkeys. These lot are, I think they hate us. Oh, look, there's the cable car as I speak. 2 cable cars, one going up, one going down. It's interesting to me that as one cable car goes up, the other one comes down. I guess, is it like the same bit of rope that loops round? It's gotta be. They're moving perfectly uniformly. Interesting. I'm gonna skedaddle.
Having spent a week in Spain, I then re-entered the UK by foot. That's right, it was time to visit Gibraltar. Known to the locals as Gib, and known to surrounding aquatic animals as the big rock that the English inexplicably own. I started by exploring the botanical gardens because I like plants. I saw this plant and this plant. I saw this one. This is also a plant I saw. This is a telephone box, which is not a type of plant. And this is a chicken.
Put the phone down because I wanted to film the chicken, so you're on loudspeaker.
I then went on a stroll to the south of the territory to check out the spot I'd be scuba diving in the next day, and decided that it was a terrible idea, but I did it anyway. I have no footage of the scuba diving because I didn't want my camera to get ocean on it, but from above the water, the experience probably looked something like this. After scuba diving, I then went on to an animal sanctuary and received a small fright from this inquisitive geezer. I then saw this animal, then this animal, then this animal, which I believe is a type of bird, based on his quintessential tweeting and general flappiness. And with a growing need to stretch my legs, I walked halfway up the big rock and took a look at Gib. Reminder, the locals call it Gib. From here, then finally here. Notice how much I'm in need of a haircut. The next day, I ascended further to Gibraltar's famous nature reserve. This is where the cable car takes you. Or if you're like me and would rather walk 400 metres up a big hill than pay money to be stood in a cramped vessel with dozens of filthy tourists, this is where your feet take you. Gibraltar's nature reserve is famous for hosting Berrymycox, a type of monkey with a cute face and a weird arse, quite the reverse of my typical Tinder dates. These fellas can often be found chilling in the sunshine, soaking up the views of Morocco in the distance, and occasionally get— what? Mate, I'm right here. In summary, they're somewhat noble looking and clearly find us very annoying. With that said though, we are a useful mode of transport for getting upstairs.
Ooh, I didn't ask for this, did I? What do I do about this situation?
I had a relaxing day of pottering about and avoiding the touristy spots, which was basically just the very top of the rock. Gibraltar Airport only flies to mainland UK, yet people have travelled to this massive boulder from all across the globe, including the rest of Europe and even the States. I noticed that British people really come into their own when Americans are around. They're the only people who can make us feel less insecure as tourists.
I always love that bit, it's like I'm giving myself a round of applause. Well, here I am, at the end of my third little winter trip. I can see Morocco, I can see Spain, I can see about 20 ships, lots of shipping ships, ships that ship things. Hello. Today I went in some cool caves, I went through a World War II tunnel, and a monkey stole my orange from my bag. At the end of my first trip, I booked the accommodation and travel for my third trip, and now I haven't even decided where I'm going on trip 4. I have learned in this trip that I'm not a big city person. I really enjoy being in some tiny towns. Hilariously, I feel like I could come straight back to Spain, but this has been nice. And now I've got to walk to the airport and cross the runway whilst doing so. Can't walk to the airports in London. Maybe City. Bye.
It was time for my final trip before winter was out. I flew from Luton, which meant excitingly I could see home from my window. Here is the Grand Union Canal and the Tring Reservoirs. Anyone familiar with my affairs with waterways will know how much I love Tring. I then landed in Nice and was gifted with a chance to witness a beautiful sunset. This was a charming hello from the city, albeit in the form of a goodbye. Tubby bye-bye, sunshine. So many planes in Nice. It's like we're right by an airport or something. Well, I've just been told to leave by the French. Ooh, that's a long way down. It's quite beautiful here. The sun has set. And now I'm in the south of France for a week and a half. Cue a Trip 4 title. Trip 4. I then spent 2 hours trapped in this park after the French locked all the gates. It was highly stressful and I'm still sad about it. But enough about Nice, as nice as it was, enough about Nice. It was time for my next destination, a day trip to Monaco. So it was very awkward for me when someone turns up right as I go to speak, because that is embarrassing, even though they probably speak French and have no idea what I'm saying. Well, I'm stood here with just some of my massive yachts. As everyone knows, I live on a boat. It's that one. Currently being blinded by the sun. I don't understand why if a place is this bright, you would make every pavement ever white. I am also slightly hungover because I arrived at my Airbnb yesterday. It's very cute. They put a little bottle of Prosecco out, and I enjoyed that. And then I grew a taste for it and bought more. So I'm in Monaco, which is apparently its own country, and I'm not even sure what language they speak, but I reckon it's French. Beautiful chain ride today. Turns out this is quite a nice place. Got a lot of strolling to do. Very tired, actually. A bit sleepy. I'll just share some massive yachts videos now. Yachts. I don't know what these are, but they're not yachts. The next day, I decided to stay in Nice and strolled along the coast. I found entertainment watching a man repeatedly fall over on his foil. Remember, if anything embarrassing ever happens to you, take no comfort in the fact that there could be someone in the distance, enjoying every second of it. And having had my fill of being an arse, I then took a train to Antibes. Do I look majestic? Made an assessment. If I'm going to fall backwards. Oof. Yep, lost my balance. So I'm in Antibes. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I've been told on good authority that it's definitely not pronounced Antibes. Could go for a swim, but it is fundamentally still March, which is winter. I'm starting to believe in the south of France they probably don't have such a season. Haven't got much to say. Just thought I'd drop in whilst I'm in this place, which I would say is pretty beautiful. Oh, laughing French person. I've got another 10k to go, so I should do that, because I've got dinner plans tonight. Because I have a life. Ugh. Okie dokie. Bye. I continue my stroll around the peninsula, and couldn't understand why this coastal walk doesn't receive more hype. The scenery is diverse, and the views were utterly breathtaking. I'd give this a 10 out of 10 for day trips from Nice. Next on my agenda was Toulon. Not to be confused with Toulouse. I did visit Toulouse, but it rained the whole time I was there, so it does not appear in the video. So we're sticking with Toulon. With my sandwich at the ready, I decided to go on a hike up Mont Faron. In this case, I only learned to the cable car when I was halfway up and in too deep. Well, that's a nice view. Hello. I was in a very happy place for the whole morning, and then I got a dog shit email from a client, and I was like, you being an idiot has caused me stress that I don't need. And then what's funny is I then just had loads of negative thoughts about so many different things, and I got past it. Now I'm in quite a good mood again. It's kind of like if I just stand in the sun, all the hate evaporates away.
and there's not very much sun in England, which probably explains why I'm such a grump so much of the time. I am noticeably happier in sunny weather. Now I'm starting to think, is it because the sun kind of lifts me up and lets me forget all my troubles? And if it's just never-ending rain, it just festers inside me instead. Somewhat like a tomato plant. If you let those just sit in the rain for too long, the fungus starts spreading. You need the sunlight to kill the fungus in its tracks. I am a tomato plant. So this is France. I mean, it's stunning, isn't it? Now that I've said what I have to say, I'm going to take some edgy shots.
Next on the list was Marseille. Now this really was a majestic place to wander around in. It had a certain insecure, rugged charm to it, like a French version of Naples with less graffiti. But don't get me wrong, I was offered sex in exchange for money, both on my way to and from the supermarket, by a woman who could have been double my age. But that didn't soften this city's enchantment. I had a fairly intense whistle-stop tour on my first day here, then honestly, just spent my second day sat up a big hill in the sunshine, enjoying the views and reading my book. The weather didn't hold out for my last stop, however, which was windy. The views were still nice though, even if I did have to pay to see these ones. It's been a very different winter. Pustik spent 100 nights in a marina, and I spent 2/3 of those away from home. Travelling is very different to going on holiday. It's tiring. But running a half marathon is tiring, yet still fun. A controversial opinion, I know. I'd always intended to travel after my PhD, but unfortunately, the PhD was a bumpy ride, featuring pandemics, a lot of moving around, and several family bereavements. It took some time to find my energy again. So these trips have been something of a warm-up. I continued working, stayed fairly close to home, and never went away for more than 2 weeks in one hit. Next year will be very different. But I've learnt a lot about my current state on these trips. Where I used to enjoy cities, I'm now much happier in nature. I prefer to do my own thing now. Most beautiful hikes I went on were in Toulon and Cordoba in the Lake District, not Caminito del Rey with tons of other people. It was also nice that on these hikes I didn't need to wear a silly hat. I'm spending less time sat on my phone this time around. I'll happily spend a few hours sat in a sunny spot reading my book or taking some videos. I'm not travelling the world to meet people anymore. I've met enough people. I just want to be in nice places. That's the person I am now, at least for the time being. I shouldn't force myself to be a social creature when I'm not. And I'm happy to have drawn these conclusions from my trips. So, the only question remaining now is where to next?